forum's been a wonderful nexus for collaboration. I mean, it's great to see such a global audience is here as well as a local Russian audience. I think number one, the first thing that took me is the diversity of the agenda today. It's not just about design and construct, it's very much been thinking much wider in terms of asset management and indeed going to city level as well. There's been a good focus on data integration with both BIM and geospatial data as well. And from my point of view, I mean, it's great to see, you know, all the global learning today and actually the journey that's going on with Russia. I think one of the things that's really struck me is the sort of seniority of the audience as well. You know, it's a very thoughtful audience as well, but the conversation is, you know, looking at a very macro level, which has been fantastic as well. Looking at the effects of digitisation in terms of the government messaging and the government direction within there as well. So I think if I'd been a delegate here, I'd certainly came away with lots of new things. I think it had also made a lot of new contacts, and hopefully I'll go back to my organisation and share it. So I just think it's been a wonderful event. I think it's actually quite unique as well compared to many other events I've been to around the globe. I think I have. I mean, I've taken away lots from many sessions, and I think one of the big ones has been around about, you know, the creation of the smart city, and indeed some of the use cases, if you like, for that data integration, and some of the complex insights it's trying to get within there as well. So yeah, I think it's been an interesting theme today as well. You know, BIM's starting to transform much wider within there, and we're starting to see all these other data sets coming in. So to hear, especially at a city level, what mayors and such like are doing, you know, to help answer their questions, that's going to help them shape future investments and resilience. And I think we've taken away a lot of things at not just a technical level, but a real almost sort of commercial level as well. Thinking, wow, that's something I could take back and apply back in the UK as well. From my personal point of view, we can sometimes try to run too fast. We can see all the new shiny technologies and try to apply them without getting a really good foundation in place, and that's where it goes wrong. I think inherently, if you try to do something, you've not got a good information management, good data security, good collaborative practices, it's generally going to go wrong. So I do think, let's get that foundation layer in place, that plank that's in there, and build upon it and start to use the technologies within there. And I think we often go into that sort of trough of disillusionment with new technologies pretty quick. It sounds great, we start applying it and it failed. Well, why did it fail? Often because the basics weren't in place. It might be naming conventions, it might be in terms of data classification or good use of metadata. But I generally think standards help us get that foundation, and we can build upon that and do exciting things within there. And I think in terms of building information modelling, I think always start off with purpose. A very clear idea as to why you're doing it within there. I think we can now often overproduce information. So actually have clarity as to what information and data you want within there. It should always be trying to answer a question. It might be a question in terms of it's tied to procurement. It might be an operational question within there. But make sure you've got purpose to the data you're building. And also make sure that you've got a good way to maintain it or curate that data as well in the longer term within there as well. I think the other part is proportionality. You know, making workflows that are proportionate to what you're doing. We have many different procurement routes, many different scenarios within there, and thinking about making sure it's always tailored. You know, in the UK, we often refer to it as being able to dial up or dial down to be able to suit, you know, both the capability and the complexity of the project within there as well. I'd say in terms of best practice, right at the heart of it all, though, is collaboration. You know, being able to exchange information and data between the different parties within there is important. So this concept of a common data environment, somewhere we can come very good at sharing within there as well. And I think when we talk about the common data environment, it's much more than the technology. It's getting the behavioural culture around about it, where people do want to share. It's having security around about it, and the process is to manage that information journey. We often refer to it now as the golden thread of information, a golden thread of data and information through a project timeline, or a 360 degree where you've got feedback loops within there as well, but also a golden thread of purpose. You know, starting off with a very clear purpose about the social outcome of that asset, and using the data to test that it's going to do what it said within there. So I think getting the people pieces right as well within there, the clear value, clear direction. I think people, process, and then technology last within there. But always start, I think, with the people with a clear direction to what you're trying to achieve within there. Build a good solid process and plan around about it. And then we bring the people. I would also say one of the things that we're finding as well is starting to use design thinking approaches. You know, always constantly testing within there as well. So rather than taking 2 years to build a case study, let's not be failing fast, if you like, as well in there. So putting new, more linear, sort of non-linear workflows around about it, more cycle workflows, I think can help as well. So design thinking approaches we're finding can really help as well.